everyone, how are you? Just gonna fix my light here. Hello, hello. How we doing? It's so nice to see you all in the space. I just finished a day of deep creation and reflection, and I just felt called to come on here and finish my day in my Zen space with you all. Let me just see if I can adjust you a little bit. Hopefully it's straight. Hello, hello, how are you? Let me know where you're tuning in from. This live was not planned. I had no plan of going live, but we're here. And what inspired me to speak about is, the secrets of going through a spiritual awakening as a woman. And this is something that has been sitting on my heart for a while, but I feel called to share it now. So I have candlelight, we have the ambiance in the space, and a brew and an incense, and let's just chat. Let's hang out. Let's connect. So if it's our first time meeting, hi, I'm Shika. It's your first live, let me know in the chat. I want to hear y'all in the chat. How you doing? And I just want to share with you all that I have deep gratitude for each and every one of you, finding this space and trusting that it will resonate with those that it's meant to resonate with as I put my incense on. I have. So for those of you who are new here, maybe this is our first time meeting or you've recently started following on here on the channel. I'm Chica, medicine woman, and I've been doing this work and on my journey consciously for over 8 years now. And now I'm in a space where I really help souls and I help women that are on their journey of spiritual awakening, healers, space holders, light workers, those that are karmic breakers, shakers of their family, and really stepping into their truth. And today, as I sat here, I've been really feeling more of like coming on here more organically and just kind of connecting with you of what feels good and alive in the present moment. And what's been feeling alive has been this big realization and just revisiting around spiritual awakening, which never really stops. And I want to talk a little bit more about that, and specifically from the angle as going through a spiritual awakening as a woman, as a feminine, things I wish I knew, things that I wasn't told, things that I had to kind of figure out the long way. And I hope that through our conversation and connection today that you can receive what feels aligned to you. So if you're watching the replay, let me know here, introduce yourself. If you're watching the live, let me know where you're tuning in from, where you're at on your journey of spiritual journey, which is really life. And let's chat, let's connect, let's have a little cacao tea and chat. So one of the biggest things that I've realized on my spiritual awakening has been, it just continues. And I know that sounds really cliche, but stay with me here. What I mean by that is, as I was sitting on my laptop, I realized that some of my first moments are still giving me so much wisdom and lessons. And I think as feminine, as women, one thing we forget, and as people in this world, souls, is that we are connected to a womb, we're connected to sacral, we're connected to the earth. And every single person who's endured this life has connected to an earth, has been connected to Mother Earth, has been connected to your mother, your grandmother, your great-grandmother, whether they're in this earth realm or not. And there's such deep codes and wisdom that lies within them. Hi, Atlanta. That is so deep and that is so nourishing for you, that is wanting to teach you. And it goes back to, as I sit here, every answer that I look for when I am in a space of strife, when I feel lost, when I feel exhausted, when I feel like I don't want to keep going, and the days that I feel like amazing as well, and the in-betweens, I always remind myself that I have all my answers right where my belly button is. And I want to share this with you. I remember for me, one of the things that I really disliked as a woman was my period and my moon cycle. And this is one of the biggest secrets that a lot of people don't know. That we have been taught in society to hate, to dislike, to not understand, to just accept that it is painful, to accept that it is hurtful, to accept that it is something we're ashamed of, we don't talk about, we hide. You know, how many times have we, I know for myself, bled through my clothes when I'm on my moon cycle, or wanted to ask a question but didn't know who I could ask, or who was around me that I can talk to about, or maybe I was hitting puberty and a lot of people around me weren't going through the same experiences. I know for myself, I started really early. Maybe for some of you, started later, earlier, or around the same time with others. I think as feminine, as women, we've all gone through these really like unknown times as we start to grow into our human body, but yet we're so connected to something that is awakened within us when that bleed happens. And one of the biggest things I've learned through my spiritual awakening is that my moon cycle and my period, my bleed, is actually one of the most powerful gifts that can help me. And something that I was programmed to by my ancestors and by people around me to dislike, or maybe not just think and accept that it's gonna be painful, that I'm gonna have to take painkillers for it, or, you know, take medication, or constantly just like numb, because that's, you know, I don't want to faint anymore. I don't want to, you know, miss school because of what I'm going through, right? And it wasn't until I started to get to the deep, deep truth of my healing and my awakening. And this is probably the halfway point of my 8+ years going through my journey consciously. I say consciously because we're constantly in a spiritual awakening, but when we start to realize it, that was kind of my point when I went through that. And I started to make a promise to myself. One of the biggest secrets that I've gone through that I want to share with you is that if I learn more about my moon cycle, I can actually live a happier, painless, and understand every question that I ever wonder. I've been able to receive lost information from my ancestors and truths that, whether they've told me or not, through my moon cycle. I've been able to heal naturally from endometriosis, from PTSD, from depression through my moon cycle. I've been able to understand that actually, as a woman, as someone going through a conscious experience, that I am supposed to have the rhythms of my lifetime, right? And what that means is when I am on my moon cycle, I'm grieving. I'm grieving an egg of creativity. I'm grieving an energy of life. I'm grieving this time, a season within myself. And every single one of us that's on here, whether the feminine, the woman, the being that with the womb, the connection of the sacral, the hara, you are taking this time to grieve something. It doesn't have to be grieving something such as, and for some of us it is a baby, or maybe a grieving of, you know, a relationship, or grieving of self, or grieving of a cycle, or grieving of a belief, whatever it is. So when I started to give myself permission, instead of just accepting the very wounded masculine at that time, and we've done a lot of work. I want to give a shout out to the masculine of the collective and our inner masculine, because I feel like there's a lot of projection in the sense that wounded masculines out there, but I also want to say that there's so much beautiful work being done also with the masculine. So I just want to shout out to that. And why I'm saying that is because there was almost like this yearning to not be in the feminine, to not be soft, to not be gentle, to not have emotions, because of how much I can feel it all. I'm sure some of you can experience this, that you're quite empathic, you connect a lot, you feel a lot of people's energies. If you know what you know and you're agreeing with this, put a thumbs up emoji in the chat or in the replay here. But one thing I said to one of my clients is I said, we are meant to feel it all. And as those who are creators and have the energy of creation, each and every single one of us, but also those who have another layer of womb, another womb in the space within the sacral too, there is access to information and wisdom that lives within us. And when we decide not to reject it or condition it and program it as pain, we start to understand, why is our womb and our sacral crying for help and support? So one of the biggest secrets of my spiritual awakening was understanding that my pain of my moon cycle, from my 8-year-old self to my 6-year-old self to my 20-year-old self, and so on, was all those parts of me that have been wanting me to listen. It's the generations of women that would go to work and push through it because they couldn't do a sick leave, because having a moon cycle and a bleed where there was so much pain of the grieving and what they were going through, whether it's ancestral, this lifetime, past life, whatever it is, that wasn't enough, or wasn't supportive enough to help you, right? There wasn't even access and resources for women, and still is, it's getting better for women to be able to find out, why is my womb in this pain? Why is she crying? Why is she wanting to soften? Why is she wanting to flow but doesn't have space to? Well, no, I have to do work. I need to pay for bills. What are the stresses that come up when we think about taking that time and spaciousness for ourselves? It's one of the biggest things that I had to realize going through my own journey, was that I needed to accept that I need spaciousness, and that is okay. I needed to start living a life that wasn't being told to me, but rather I decided to create within me. Let that sink in. I started to live a life that wasn't being told to me, but started to live a life within me. That's when I started to awaken so much truth that I was seeking outside of myself for so long. And that can manifest for each and every single one of our stories differently. For some of us, it could be relationships. For others of us, it could be, food. It could be materialism, shopping. It could be watching TV. Whatever your vice that was, to just get you to distract the pain, to distract the softening, to distract the pleasures that you truly want within yourself. That is the power of that. So what spiritual awakening really means, going through, at least for me as a woman, has been understanding and re-falling in love with the power of my sacral, with the power of that I have within myself. And I started to, ooh, you guys almost fell. Let me put you this way. Okay. You guys almost fell. Ooh. Give me a second. Righty tighty, lefty loosey. Okay. You guys are good. You almost fell on my tripod. I think we're good. Let me put one more crystal, because I have a feeling the energy's moving so much. And yep, my feeling was right. One sec. I'm gonna put you guys on here. I want to make sure you can hear this message, because it's so deep. Give me a second to make a makeshift tripod. Where are we at? What else do I have here? Okay. Thank you, medicine bag. You are my tripod right now. Okay. Thanks, guys. Thanks for your patience. I was talking to you and I could see the tripod okay, we're good. What was I saying? Yeah, so one of the biggest things that I realized throughout my process and my journey that I feel called to share, and what I'm sharing here with you, is this realization that I needed to stop giving away my power to the distractions of information, and start to reconnect with my own DNA information. And how you do that is through the sacral chakra. I know a lot of us go through this journey. I know for myself, when I started this journey, I was seeking out for other people's support, which I think is so great. Like, I'm super grateful for my teachers, my mentors up to this day, and the ones that are continuously mentoring me. And I also see that each of one of us should feel like when we are connecting to that energy, that our power is being enhanced, that it feels like our divinity is being enhanced, that we're feeling empowered by these guides, unseen and seen in this world. And it can be easy for us to get lost to giving up our power to the guru culture for some, the mentor culture for others, to the plant medicines, to the dreams, to the ideologies, and to forget that the power that we're receiving when we sit with a plant or we get supported by a medicine is really a mirror of self, and that it is you that is igniting your own spiritual awakening. And again, spiritual awakening really means a conscious realization of living this life. It is awakening to the truth. It's awakening to the truth within yourself and seeing that and embodying that outside of your world and with outside of your world as well, and outside of yourself. And when you start to do that, you open and unlock so much. So that's one thing that I really wanted to reflect and share with you. There's a couple other things I want to share. I want to just like come back to the heart and breathe. This is probably one of the biggest things that I haven't shared on here that I think is very supportive. And again, if you feel anything that's resonating, let me know down below. I'm going to share something at the end with you to really support you on this process if you're resonating. There was a big part of myself that didn't recognize how much I didn't trust my own inner masculine and the masculines in my life. And I had to go back to sitting down with me as a little girl, and specifically my person I looked up to. And for most people, and sometimes it's different, it's usually our father or our masculine figure in the household. And the father in this space was this safetyness is really what we look for as a child, right? So one parent is like bringing the nourishment, the loving, the maha energy, the mama energy. And then the other is bringing this protector, the protector to take care of those in the home. And my way of providing that love, the way the masculine showed that to me, and what I discovered through my spiritual awakening as a woman was through the material, through providing, you have a plate to eat. I didn't have that when I was a child. You have, food to eat, life to eat. You have things. So that is the thing that is given to you. And that's what they can give. And I see now on the other side of this acceptance that was their way of showing love. But for me, a lot of us, we seek the masculine love that we didn't receive as a child. So through my spiritual awakening, one thing I had to learn was these 3 lessons. Where didn't I trust the masculine? Where did I feel like I couldn't trust relationships in my life? And where was I controlling things out of fear that something else would happen? What was that? So let's go with trusting the masculine. For me, from my experiences where it was traumas and being abused in certain ways, one of the ways that came up for me was the fear of being in control. And that came from the lesson of being controlled, being punished or being really structured in the household. So for me, I wanted to go the complete opposite way, right? And in that, I actually attracted my fear because I started to believe in the thing about the law of attraction is they don't know the difference of like past, present, future. It just is, right? So it's like, if you believe that you fear that, then that's what you believe in, and that's the energy that you are going to put out in the world. One of the things that my teacher told me that really like my heart was she was saying that like you put a t-shirt on, and when you go through traumas and wounds in your life, yes, it's all about being out of the victimhood, but you also have to understand you're wearing a t-shirt of your whole life story, and you're walking around the world, and whether you say it or not, people will feel that energy. So when you get met with an energy from your past or a trauma, it's like you just get better at managing and facing that energy and understanding it more, because every single time it's not a trigger, but rather it's a lesson, it's an opening, it's an awareness of it, right? The second thing that I also realized was this lack of trust, because it told me my deepest relationship with father, with the paternal lifestyle, the paternal side. And what I mean by that was when I started to look at my spiritual awakening, that was shown in my relationships. So then I was starting to mirror my paternal's traumas and shadows within my relationships. Is that crazy? So your biggest fear for some of you might be your fear, I don't want to be like my dad, I don't want to be my brother, I don't want to be like this person, I don't want to be like my aunt, I don't want to be my uncle, I don't want to be my mom. Well, guess what? There is a part of you in your spiritual awakening that is very much them. But until you get to meet that version of you, there's a part of you that you're not accepting. You're now rejecting that version of you. It's crazy because I just recorded an energy update and we were talking all about this. So part of my spiritual awakenings, woman, was understanding that with the two, they say at the end of your tailbone, like the bottom of your back, there are two serpents, energetic serpents. People always talk about one. There's actually two. So there's one that's feminine and there's one that's masculine. They weave together. And when you totally unlock the divine channel of your spine, which connects to all 7 chakras and beyond and all below, when you think of the two winding up above the spine, right, and they're weaving upwards, they work together. So if only one is moving up, the other side isn't balanced, right? So equally, the dance between the two is the feminine, for example, is all emotion, right? And the masculine, and I'm saying a very short definition of this, but I'm just giving a general summary. So the feminine is like about emotion, the masculine is more about, connecting with action. So you can't take the action that is divinely yours if you are not moving out of the way and getting out of the control hat to take the divine action that is meant for you. And the opposite. If you are taking action all the time, you are completely disconnected to the emotional, the intuitive knowledge that is within you. So that means without one or the other, they cannot dance, right? They cannot move. And this is one of the biggest realizations I understood as feminine, as a woman. I had to look at the masculine where they triggered me, where I felt pain, my story, and what that looked like. And I had to feel all of that and accept it, but also bring this deep forgiveness and peace for myself in order for me to see the clarity of what was here. And when I started to do that, both my feminine and my masculine was able to balance. I was able to get out of the way and not control out of fear that something would happen, whatever that was, but rather to surrender and trust. And I get one of my biggest questions I get with people, especially from women on the spiritual journey, is always like, how do I trust Shika? How do I trust my process after all the things I've gone through? How do I trust living and just waking up the next day? Well, you trust by understanding what you don't trust. It's like when people always talk about, if you go to a restaurant, right? Or if you go to a store and you're buying something, it's kind of interesting. I always tell people, you start with what's not there. We always focus on what's not there instead of what is there, or some of us focus on what is there and what's not there. We gotta look at both, right? You gotta look at where you are awakening within yourself and also understanding where is being hidden within yourself, because they both dance together like the two snakes at the bottom of energetically our lower back. And this is where our life force energy hits. This is where our kundalini is. It moves and dances above. It weaves all the way up through our crown and beyond to allow us to connect and be balanced in our light body and our physical body. So if there's anything that is stagnant, you can work with those serpent energies to move it for you subconsciously. That's how powerful we are, everyone. And when you add that with the layer of being a woman with a womb, you're able to turn that on so directly, so deeply, because you are literally clearing that kundalini every single month with your moon cycle. So this is why it's so powerful. One of the things I've learned is learning how to clear and cleanse along with my moon cycle rhythms. If I'm bleeding or having my moon cycle around the full moon, what does that mean? The new moon, what does that mean? I have a full video on that if you want to look at that I did a long time ago, talking about the channels and what that means and anciently what that means. But in short, it can tell me, if I'm, say, bleeding on a full moon, well, yes, that might be because I'm working a lot around career, my external life. And then as a new moon, it's more internal. There's a lot of internal emotional things I'm clearing and cleansing, or within my household and my family and relationships, or even my ancestral healing, right? So when you start to be in the rhythms of something that you were taught is supposed to give you so much pain and you have to run away from and you have to numb, you start to unnumb, you start to understand it. And this is one of the biggest things of why I think it's so, so, so important. Now, for those of you that are probably don't have your bleed, or your bleed isn't regular, and for others of you that are, in menopause, or have moved into a wise womb, which is such an initiation we don't talk about, you still get an energetic bleed. People don't talk about that. So it's not like just because you don't have it, it's just, okay, but 𝐥𝐤𝐤𝐤, that means I don't have anything. That was another thing I learned, was when I'm not on my bleed, there's a part of what it means when you're supposed to be on your bleed and you're not having regular bleeds. It's like there are parts of you, there's some emotional imbalance. This all goes back to hormonal imbalance. And there's something that is out of balance, going back to the snakes, that need to be in balance. For those of you that are in menopause, or you no longer have your physical bleed, you still have an energetic bleed. And that is so powerful, because you become the wise womb that the younger wombs come to for support and help. You become kind of a wisdom leader. And I think there's so much stigma, there's so much just kind of like, oh, I just want to get out of menopause. I'm like, it can be actually such a beautiful experience. I've had clients that have menopause and they've had no crazy side effects. They've been able to work with plants and natural healing to support them and really understand what does it mean to be in this initiation. So I think one of the biggest things I learned, and I want to end it on here before I go into a very special share that I want to share with you, is that understanding the stages of the spiritual awakening of woman, and that every stage, whether it's a little girl, whether it's a teen self, whether it's the self that's going to university, whether it's the self that is, growing up, adulting, whether it's the self marrying, whether it's the self having a child, whether it's the self that is being a grandma, every single version of that woman has a story and is a life on its own. How many times have you felt right now that you've lived many lifetimes in one life? Every single one of us. And we start to understand that every life that we've lived in one life has a lesson for us to receive, should we decide to receive it. So my question to you is, can you receive the versions of you that maybe you no longer accept or you're shameful of? Because there is such deep wisdom behind those versions of you when you start to create a safe space for them to be accepted, to integrate the fragmented parts of you that you feel that is just not within, that we've rejected, that we felt shameful, that we felt guilty for. That was something that I had to understand about my spiritual awakening. What part of me shames the woman that was really just trying to run away from herself, so numbed herself, whether it's partying and, going to the gym and vain, right? And I started to notice, wait a minute, that woman inside of me is teaching me so much. Should I choose to stop shaming her, to allow her to integrate what she didn't have a space to heal? Then something opens up within me, and that is a spiritual awakening. I finally accept a part of my authentic self that lived a story and never got to tell it. And this is why it's so powerful, why sisterhood is so important, where community is so important. Because if we're not in a space together, how can we heal? How can we hold each other together? We're going to feel like we have to hold everything in the world and all the burdens. And it becomes really hard to live here, right? This is why it's so important for us to really take these times, these spaciousness, these flows, to really tend to the womb and the woman, because there's so much medicine there. And for those of you that feel that call to go deeper as a healer, your biggest gift is right there. So as I'm on this venture of going deeper and sharing it with you, I wanted to share this little this channel to you, and just share and ask yourself to take away. And I want to leave you with this if it resonates for you to journal this. If not, that's cool. is where can I have a deeper, more intimate relationship with my moon cycle and my womb, my bleed, or my mature womb? And then the second question I want you to reflect on, if this feels good to you, of course, it's an invitation, is what parts or what versions of me have I rejected or not allowed to tell their story? And I want you to just do a mirror practice, to look at yourself in a mirror like I have in the back, and just speak to you, looking at yourself in your eyes, and tell your story and see what comes alive within you. Tears, maybe tightness of the throat, maybe little bubbles in the stomach, just allowing yourself to let that version release itself and free itself within you. Because I feel like one of the biggest things I hear women keep saying is, I just want to be free. I just want to be happy. Well, until you free that version of you, you're going to feel like you're not. And you have that power in yourself to free yourself just by stepping into that. But again, I'm just sharing. It's always up to us to decide. I always tell my students, my clients, I'm like, I give you something, you share, you take it. If it resonates, if it doesn't, you throw it out. And if it does resonate, that's up to you to really integrate it, right? And I hope it does. I really am hoping that it does within you, because it can. I'm going through a separation and having an awakening. How do I navigate this as I'm bleeding for 3 months? How do I free myself? I haven't bled for 3 months. One of the biggest things that I've learned in my awakening that I will share with you is, for the womb to bleed, the heart needs to free itself. When we go through heartbreak, a lot of clients I've had who have had a loved one who've passed away, or heartbreak, or something that's chained in the heart, it actually locks the mood cycle to actually occur, and then you don't bleed. So it's almost this opportunity of separation. What part of you, there's a big, you're going through a big cord in the heart that needs to be freed, to let your womb to feel safe, to soften and bleed and grieve. Is going to be a really big grieve once it comes, but I think that's one of the biggest things I can share. And for those of you that are really resonating with this conversation, I want to transition into sharing an invitation to you, something that I've been sharing here. One of the things I've learned in my own spiritual awakening and through other women I've connected with is this deep yearning for community and feeling alone and lack of consistency. And I know myself, I've experienced that too, where I felt like you're going through a great healing, and then you go through your like dark night of the soul, and then you get past it, and then where do we go from there? And then you get to this void, and you're like, when is this void ever going to be over? If you know, put a fire emoji down below. Replay, same thing. You just get to this void, and it's like, okay, so what's next? And I think this is something that I've heard a lot. I've heard a lot women say, I feel alone. I don't know. I'm in this void. I don't know what's next. What's coming up? How do I integrate this, Shika? What is next for me? How do I heal this? And one of the things I've been doing in the past 4 months is this deep, deep transmission with the beautiful plant rose. And I want to share this with you. And this is the Queen Rose program and community. It's specifically for women on their spiritual healing that feel alone, that feel this lack of support in their life, that feel stuck, that feel that they have something to unleash within them, and to help them learn about how to make their own apothecary to support them in healing physical elements at home, and also healing naturally with nature, spiritually, energetically, learning how the power of the womb and untapping, pardon my French, and awakening the womb deep within yourself, and ancestral clearing, learning how to clear over 36 generations before you of patterns, DNA, and programming that's within you. And also working with the beautiful rose, and while doing this with sisterhood and support and community. And what makes it so powerful, and what this is such a deep offering, is it's a lifetime mentorship. So your 80-year-old, 90-year-old self can jump on to, community, connections, mentorships, calls, and chats, and events in person and online to support you. And you'll be able to receive resources. The intention of this is community and support. So not every single woman can feel supported and will never feel like they don't have a community, friendship, sisterhood again. because this is so needed right now. So if this is you, that you feel this calling of being connected and being able to go through this deep inner pilgrimage with over 100 activations, hypnotherapy, meditations, healings, teachings, learnings, and mentorship, along with live mentorship for your whole lifetime, you can go check out Queen Rose. This is a very deep offering. That's been deep prayers that I've been sharing. And for those of you that are natural healers and you know there's a healer in you, maybe you feel like you're the wounded healer, maybe you've come across on the other side of the wounded healer, you're ready to welcome the invitation of being a person of space holder, being someone who's ready to hold space, being someone who's ready to learn how to do past life regression, somatic healing, Reiki, and other practices as well. I invite you to apply to Earth Dharma Healers Training. I've just opened up the space again, and now this program is lifetime mentorship and a training to support you to hold space for your community and step into your gifts and your dharma. And the biggest question I asked for people, why this program created itself, was what is the mission or what is the impact that you want to offer to the collective, to remember that your soul's remembering of that is beyond your lifetime, that is going to impact your generation, your kids, that's going to impact your family, that's going to impact this world, because we can't do it alone. And these are warriors, earth warriors, people ready to go deep into this work and process. And again, this is a lifetime training to support you with an intensive initiation, Q&As, integration support, and a lot more. So you can go and check that all out. It's at my website, 𝐥𝐢𝐤𝐐.com. You can also check it down in the description. All the information to apply to the application, and how you can apply is just going through the application process, filling out the application, and then if it's a good fit, then we connect through Zoom and chat and really just share your story. And my biggest prayer is to help those light warriors, to help women, to help us all coming into community. And I'm super grateful for the past months of this being seeded. And I want to give deep gratitude to every single one of you who have shared your stories and will continue to share your stories here, because my heart just like whoo, for you. And I just can't wait for us to grow, to connect, to deepen our connection in this space, and to support you on your dharma, and to support you as women, and to allow you to feel free and happy again in self. That's simply just witnessing you and holding space for you to discover that within. So that's my deepest prayer, and I trust that. I think I'm going to end it there. Thank you so much for chatting with me. And again, you can check out all the things and apply for Queen Rose and Earth Dharma, one-on-ones, all of that down below. Okay. I love you so much. And I'll see you guys soon. Don't forget to like, subscribe, put notification bells. Much love. Love.